Hey, beautiful souls, beautiful sunshine here with the Yara Holistic Healer, aka Sonia B. So I am back with several different prophetic messages. So with that being said, before I get into the message, I do want you to know that if you feel like this message does not apply, then let it fly. But just keep in mind, just because it may not be happening at this exact moment, that it may not be happening a couple of weeks from now. So keep that in mind as well too. And even if it's not happening to you, it could be happening to somebody who is within your energetic field. Okay, a loved one, neighbor, or friend, family member, boss, sister, cousin, doesn't matter. Okay. Anyway, so the first message I received, let me piggyback because Spirit is just telling me to piggyback off of the last prophetic message I gave you guys. So on that last message I gave you guys, basically it was like these teenage boys who was in a car, but prior to them getting in the car, it's like someone was kind of yanking their spirit, okay? Kind of yanking their spirit out of their bodies. One thing I've always said, like with my kids growing up, especially when they were in school or when they're in school, should I say, I've always said that I was one who always made sure that, that a teacher was not trying to spoil my child's spirit. Because if I felt like my child has come home from school and they were saying certain things that the teacher said this and said that, and I just listened and I observed because my kids are usually honest about what it is, the information that they're giving me. Okay. So, when you create that bond, it's almost like our job as parents is to make sure that we protect our kids so that they're able to navigate throughout this world safely and so that they can be who God intended them to be. Okay. So yes, we do have jobs as parents as well too. Okay. And not just thinking that we birth someone into this earth and that's just it. No, we have a job as well too. Because as it says, train up a child in the way that they should go. So when they're older, they will not depart from it. Okay. So as long as you're raising your child with morals, integrity, value, and, self-love and all that other good stuff, should I say, then their kids are going to keep those same values or whatever. Okay. Anyway, so anything outside of that, let's just say you'll get the opposite. Okay. So anyway, so it's almost like I was being told, like some kids spirits are being kind of ripped from them in a sense. Okay. So the way that this came through was, this could be like through sports wise. Okay, but don't just chalk it up to sports or whatever the case may be. It could be also, dealing with any type of situation, but mainly sports. Okay. So just be mindful of that as well too, because it's almost like somebody tugging and trying to yank somebody's spirit away from them in a sense, like to keep them from doing something, okay, or to get them to do something of how they want them to do something. So be mindful of that as a parent as well too, okay, because I know sometimes we want our kids to succeed in certain things, but you have to know and understand that we have to ask ourselves, wait, what is God plan for our children? Not so much as what we want for our children, but what is God's plan for them? And usually those individual people, meaning the children, they usually know what they want to do, okay, without your influence or without the other parent's influence, but through the influence of God, if they're connected to the Most High, okay? So be mindful of that. But as I told you before in the last video, it was kind of almost like the boys piled up in the car. It was kind of almost like taking them off to Never Never Land, okay? If you guys know that story, I guess, of Captain Hook and Peter Pan, when all the boys went off to Never Never Land for whatever that was about. I don't know the full details, but I just kept hearing like Never Never Land with Peter Pan, okay? Anyway, so the next message came through some of your teenage children too. The way I saw this was some of them are starting to realize that it's almost like they realize, because some of these kids have been realizing that their parents, let's just say maybe it could be a situation of their dads, or maybe it could be a situation of their mom. It could be either or it could be both parties. They may be just realizing just how healthy certain dynamics have been with even their own family members, okay? But the way I saw this was, it's almost like some teenager kids are starting to realize now, hey, I don't have anyone to kind of like be that example for me as a male, or hey, I don't have someone to be that example for me as a female to kind of lead me and guide me, or me to look up to. Like, let's just say almost like, your kids can be on the internet, they could be searching almost like the world's high and low, because let's just say maybe like the other parental figure isn't there in their life and they aren't really participating in the way that they should. So let's just say that a child kind of goes and starts just kind of like scrolling. Well, let me just kind of see what's out there, because the other parent isn't being a parent in a sense. This is how the dream was kind of going. Like the parent wasn't necessarily being a parent in a sense. So let me just kind of scroll, see what kind of influential person I can find out there. So lo and behold, let's just say that has been happening for a while. And let's just say maybe that the child is starting to understand, like, there is nobody out there who's able to really see that example. But the real example has been there in front of them all along. And sometimes it ends up being their mother figure, okay? And I'm not saying all mothers, okay? And I'm not discrediting mothers at all, because just like they're absent dads, they could be absent moms, even though they're in the home, but they can be truly absent because work is more important than family dynamics, when it should be a balance between the two. But I say all that to say that it's almost now that some of these children are starting to realize that the wisdom really lies within, the situation of their mom or whatever. And for some cases, it may not necessarily be their mom, but some cases it might be their dad. But it's almost like they're starting to understand now, hey, like, this person has been the example, this person has been there, this person has done that. And some of the information that they give, or a lot of the information that they give, and sometimes it doesn't have to be the same sex person who is giving you the wisdom. See, sometimes I think society tells you that a man can only raise a man, and you have to realize it's not about raising, because anybody can birth a child into this world, but it's a matter of, are you giving this child wisdom? Are you giving them knowledge, in a sense? Are you giving them things, and not just things of the worldly perspective, but things of, higher meanings and higher values? Because the truth of the matter is, we are in this physical world, but we also have a spiritual world that is coexisting right next to the spiritual world. Okay, so, and sometimes with that, you need to navigate with wisdom. So anyway, so some of the kids are starting to realize that, they don't have to search outside of themselves for somebody else, or somebody on the internet, or a male figure to look up to, because some of them are starting to realize some of the wisdom is lying within the women's as well too. Okay. So anyway, so just to give you that heads up. And then this next message I heard was something about flying. God is asking some people to fly. And fly doesn't mean go jumping off something. Fly just means like fly higher, in a sense, okay? Just to fly higher, okay? Go higher, is what I just heard. And then I also received a message, something about like the CIA dumping something, because I heard something like, well, where are we going to dump this one at? So be mindful of stuff like that, because, sometimes they have their little tactics of things that they do, and, to create chaos, confusion, and doing the stuff that they do, in a sense. So just be mindful of that, okay? Anyway, I don't want to get too deep into it, because I don't know exactly what they were talking about dumping, but they was just talking about, where do we want to dump this off at? We all know, like back in the 80s, was it the 80s, early 70s, or whatever the case may be, when we were dealing with the situation with, the recreational type energies that has kept certain communities down, in a sense. So let's just be mindful, be vigilant of not allowing those cycles to repeat themselves again. It's almost like you see something, you say something, okay? Because now God is getting people to the point of, if you don't learn to stand for something, you'll fall for anything, okay? The next message was, the next message came through, and okay. So pay attention to some of your pets, okay? So some of your pets may be giving you some vital information, okay? And this could be maybe things that you cannot necessarily see, or maybe things that you're not necessarily paying attention to, okay? Because believe it or not, our animals are also psychic as well too, okay? And sometimes they're just picking up on certain information where you may not be picking up on that information, but remember that your pets are also part of your soul tribe as well too. So they also there to kind of have your back as well too, okay? As protectors, okay? So anyway, that's one thing. So just pay attention, because you'll know the difference between, I guess, pay attention to the way your dogs kind of bark. They kind of let you know when something is present that you're not necessarily seeing with your physical eye, or you're not necessarily picking up on at that moment. But just pay attention to their barks, and just know and learn them, like when they bark in a certain way, okay? Anyway, so the next message I received, this is about this 1111 portal that some of us was going through, in a sense. Some people are deciding to rise a little higher, is what I saw, okay? And then this next message came through was, I saw like these men. All these men was standing up in one single line. They all had on trench coats, and they all had on like black hats, kind of like the detectives would wear back in the day, or whatever the case may be. And they all was standing the same exact way. So the information I got from that was, it's almost like something had actually happened. Something had actually, happened in your life, to the point that, okay, God was like, is like, some of you guys were just, let's just say it like this. Some of you guys may have been kind of like I just heard willy-nilly, just kind of being a little willy-nilly, with being a little malicious, in a sense, just kind of seeing what you can get away with, in a sense. And it's almost like now God is like, all right, you better straighten up, get in line. Okay. So that's how I saw it. It's like a bunch of black men who was like wearing trench coats, and they all, okay, thank you, Spirit. I just heard like address your shadow issues, okay? Because it was almost like detective type energies. You know how they had the detective movies back in the day, and then when they was honing in on a investigation, they had the light here, but it was kind of faded dark in the background. And anyway, with the trench coats on and the black hats. But anyway, they were all standing in line. So it's almost like God is like disciplining you right now and telling you to like straighten up and fly right. This next message came through it was just about a motorcycle. Okay, so it's almost like somebody was driving their motorcycle, then all of a sudden their motorcycle hit a wall. Okay, and then basically the motorcycle had crashed into the wall. But the funny thing about this was the person were able to walk away from the accident, and they was walking away carrying their bike. So that's also a representation of what I just talked about, where it seemed like these men were standing in line with these trench coats and the black hats. It's almost like some of you guys have had a little bit too much freedom. Okay, let me not say a little bit too much, because sometimes God will allow you to have a lot of freedom, and he will allow you to have a lot of fun and make you feel like you have power. But then there comes a point in time where God is like, okay, your game time is over with. You had enough time. You had it. Okay, it's like recess is what I just heard. Thank you, Spirit. It's like having recess. 30 minutes in a sandbox, play, do whatever you want, throw the sand up, dig, make a castle, whatever the case may be. And there comes a point in time, it's like, okay, a time and a season for everything. Your time is up. So therefore, if all that freedom, fun, and power and running around just being a little recklessly, it's like no more, okay? It's time to straighten up and fly right now, because the Most High is trying to mature us all. So yes, he will allow us to get certain stuff out of our system. And then at that point, he's like, okay, enough is enough. Okay. Some people it may take a little longer. Some people it doesn't take that long. It's like, okay, I learned the lesson. Okay. Okay. So this next message came through it was about hips. Okay. So if you guys are having some issues with your hips, be mindful of that. You guys could do yoga stretches or whatever, very beneficial, okay? Because I went through a period where my hips were actually bothering me or whatever, and I couldn't understand where this was coming from, because I never had an issue, but then I understood it, because it's deeper than just hips. Just know and understand that every physical ailment that we all experience, it has some spiritual meaning behind it, okay? That's something that needs to be healed. So I know sometimes we could be quick to run to the doctor, or quick to do this, or quick to do that, but sometimes it's best to just kind of sit still and just kind of see where God would have you to go next, because some people will be directed in a certain direction and others may be directed in a totally different direction. Okay. So anyway, this next message came through okay, this was weird, because I feel like I've been picking up on this Israel type stuff that's been kind of going on lately, because something about the CIA, and then now it was a situation of, I heard somebody saying something about that was the wrong kill or whatever the case may be. And then there was another situation where it was like as if there were people inside of a house and they was wearing the hard helmets that they would wear back in the day during the military. Probably like back in the 50s, those type of helmets that they had on their head. And it's almost like somebody was walking around the house with that helmet on their head, because it's like they didn't know if a missile bomb was going to hit the house at any given time. Okay. But then I also got as well, too, that there were some people who weren't worried about that in a sense, because they knew that they were under divine protection as well, too. Okay. So right now, God is asking people to basically stand in what they know to be true. Okay. So where it may be others around you who put the hat on as a form of protection, not saying that you don't feel like, or you not saying that you're what can I say? Not saying that you can't be touched or whatever the case may be, but it's just basically saying that you know that you're protected. So you're not necessarily worried about the helmet, whereas other people that may be in your house are kind of worried about putting a helmet on or whatever. But the one thing that they forget, and they put it on the helmet, but they forgetting about the rest of the body. Okay. You need the full armor, not just the helmet. That's just what came to mind. So anyway, the next message came through as if like something about, this is something pertaining to past energy. It has something to do with something like maybe somebody was trying to get you to go to a certain place, and they were trying to get you to go to a certain place because it's almost like that person. Okay. So let's just say if somebody was like house sitting, and let's just say somebody said, hey, can you come over here and walk my dog for me while I'm out of town, or whatever the case may be. But as an example, but maybe the person was never out of town. But even if the person was out of town, now you go over to the house, but then you call somebody else over to that house and let them know where you're at. And it's almost like you have that person to come there. So if you're house sitting and you have somebody to come to that house, be mindful, because there could be some people who just want you to come there and bring your energy, okay? Because this came through like they just wanted your energy there in that person's house, okay? So whether they were working with this person, I'm not quite sure. Whether it was intentional, I feel like it was, meaning like the both of them, the person who owned the house and the person who was house sitting, it was intentional to have another person to come to their house to visit, so that way that their energy could be in the house, okay? So I'm just telling you this so you make sure you protect your energy, y'all, male or female, okay? Anyway, so this next message came through was be mindful too, because there could be some situations that some of you guys are trying to heal from. And the way I see this is like, let's just say that maybe you might have noticed your parent was unhealthy, okay? Or you didn't notice it growing up. You noticed that there was some things that was there, but now you really starting to notice, like it's almost like God revealing that to you in a sense, okay? But now it's coming to a point of it's almost like the Most High is kind of making you aware of just how healthy a person can be in a sense. And then therefore, it's almost like you choosing to kind of keep your distance, okay? So whether it's a situation of a loved one that is close to you, this is happening to, and then to the point of, because the way I saw this was, it's almost like, again, it goes back to the whole house sitting thing. This energy is intentional. It's almost like purposely trying to get someone to, even if a person disses themselves from an unhealthy parent, and then all of a sudden it's just like that person kind of is waiting for the other individual to kind of show up in that person's life who is more healthy in a sense, and the other person who is considered unhealthy, who's at a distance, is almost like they're just kind of sitting and watching to see what's going to transpire in a sense, because they think that they're going to have access to that person's energy if they come around the other person, okay? So be mindful of that as well too. It's all about protecting your energy right about now, okay? Because when I tell you these people out here, busybodies, they are busybodies. And it's deeper than just it's deeper. Anyway, so the next message was, okay, so this also came through as well too. It's almost like some people are starting to see you for who you truly are. So I say all that to say that you may be moving with more power at this point, because it's almost like somebody seeing you, and then all of a sudden, like, it's kind of like they take and run and exit stage left. So you have to understand, like, your energy could be saying a whole lot to people in a sense without you even having to say anything. All you have to do is just look, and it's almost like they being convicted, okay? So be mindful of that as well too. That's just what some of you guys are carrying, because you have done the inner healing work, okay? Okay, and be mindful of people that just seem like they're just kind of wanting to have access to your energy, meaning like they're just kind of standing around lollygagging. So what's just coming to mind is you may notice it's like at the grocery store or whatever, and don't just take it lightly, because I just heard God is saying that he's trying to reveal to you like little hidden gems of him communicating with you, or things to just kind of be mindful of and things to watch out for, because these people was intentionally standing somewhere because they was waiting for you to pass. Okay. And like how, this is as an example, excuse me, how energy works. So let's just say, like, if the person is sitting down in a chair and like you at a seminar, and a person walks down an aisle and walks past them, you feel a breeze of air when it walks past you, right? It's kind of like that. They're trying to be within your energy field. So be mindful of that, okay? But anyway, so the next message came through this one was about something about somebody giving expensive gifts, okay? So somebody was told something about that somebody was talking about somebody else, trying to talk down onto somebody else, talking about how they give cheap gifts. But the other person kind of countered them and said something about that they give cheap gifts. But I think it's more so of their mindset, their attitude in a sense, is basically cheap in a sense of, it's basically a cheap mindset, because it's almost like how they handle people, how they talk to people, how they act, and their whole character, should I say, is just basically cheap, is what the person was trying to say, okay? And this next message came through was like somebody shifting lawn chair around. So lawn chair usually represents outside. So something pertaining about outside. It's about now some people are getting to the point that they're shifting certain things where they were normally outside before, out in the opening. Now it's more so now it's more so of them trying to move a little privately, in a sense, rather than just being open all the time, in a sense, and just allowing everybody to see everything that you're doing. This next message came through was, it's like, imagine the trash people who come pick up the trash. Imagine them in your house and ready to take out your trash. Some of you guys are going to be divinely guided, if you may have already been divinely guided, but some of you guys are going to be divinely guided to really clean house and get rid of things in your house that is not serving you, whether it be things that people have given you, whether it be things from your past, whether it be things that's not important, whether it be situations that is tied back to these different entities and institutions that is not serving you, because whether it's a piece of paper and it has someone's name or someone's the institution label on it, in a sense, it's almost like they're being attached to your home, okay, whether you realize it or not. So I was told that some of you guys are really being divinely guided to really clean house and clean out any clutter and get rid of stuff that does not serve you. But just remember that because you're dealing with important paperwork, either you're going to take and just remember your important information on certain information. Get a pen, scratch out your account number, scratch out your name, scratch out your address, or whatever the case may be. Just make sure you do that before you start getting rid of stuff and not just tossing it in the trash, because you'd be very surprised of, how some people mindsets are of, you'd be surprised at how some people's mindsets off of going through the trash and trying to figure people out, in a sense, okay? It's sad, it's a shame, but people do it, okay? Anyway, so the next message came through was, this came through like, so just imagine like, and I hate to say it, but that's something you're going to have to be mindful of. Even your own that you have to watch out for sometimes. It is what it is. I know sometimes we want that brotherly love, but sometimes God is just trying to show us, hey, that person is not where you at right now. So right about now, I'm going to need you to just keep a little distance, in a sense, because they're not on the same mindset as you right now, okay? Because it was like somebody having a yard sale, but somebody came over to somebody else's personal property to have a yard sale. And then somebody goes to say something to them, and then they kind of catch your attitude like, I'm not leaving. But just know and believe that when you have that type of mindset and attitude, just know that God is going to deal with that, and he's going to check that, because you don't get to determine what you're going to do on somebody else's property, especially if you're messing with a divine feminine who's doing that inner healing work. Absolutely not. Okay. But anywho, and trust me, if there is somebody who is trying to take advantage of somebody, just know that either you're going to get checked by God, or you probably going to get checked by that divine feminine as well too. Okay. So anyway, the next message that I received was, be mindful because of the stuff that you may have in your house. God could be revealing to you what to get rid of at this time or whatever, because it's almost like, I just kept kind of getting like rat energy, because some of you guys kind of like have rats in your house, not physical rats, but like spiritual rats in your house. And it's almost like, and it could be a bank institution. It could be, a company from somebody else that maybe you just holding on to their paperwork. Well, they're kind of benefiting off of you as long as it's there in your house. Okay. So anyway, so God is asking you guys to kind of clean house at this time or whatever. Okay. Of things that you do not need. But again, I'll say it again. Scratch out names, scratch out addresses, really, really good till you can't see it no more. Scratch out account numbers. That's very, very important. Don't just go throwing important information into the trash, okay? Just remove your name from it by doing so and scratching it out. Anyway, so the next message I received was, this was about, oh, okay. Thank you, Spirit. So this other message, be mindful of some of the companies that you deal with right now, because the way I saw this was, no offense to any foreigners, okay? I'm just going to say what it is because that's how it was given to me. Be mindful, because some of these companies right now, it's almost like they're hiring these foreigners to be in the forefront, okay? Again, it's not an issue with the foreigners. I'm just telling you what I what was being revealed to me. They're hiring these foreigners to be in the forefront to kind of like do their dirty work, in a sense, kind of do their grunt work, in a sense. So it's almost like nitpicking. I just got like nitpicking, like they're using them to kind of nitpick in a way. And let's just say like somebody dropped something, and then they was like, oh, you broke that, you broke that, you broke that, in a sense. But it's almost like, the way I saw this was somebody coming at somebody, but then it's almost like they got their ass handed to them, because what happened was, in the dream, it's almost like the company used these people to be in the forefront, and they're using them as scapegoats. Okay. So I'm just telling you that first and foremost, they're using them as scapegoats, and they're behind the scenes. And then when you don't want to deal with them anymore, you go looking for the higher ups. It's like, I just saw they were kind of in a room hiding, because the way I just heard it was, they don't want to face you. Okay. They don't want to face you for whatever it is. Okay. Just like I said about that car or the vehicle that saw you coming, and it's almost like they went the opposite direction. Okay. So I just heard at this time, it's almost like God is convicting people at this time. And yeah. Okay. So the next message I received this was about hearing a bell ring. And this was just like, oh God, I was like, it's just so much stuff. So this is like about hearing a bell ring. So let's just say that you have children who are of the devil. And I'm just going to say that, because I'm normally not about to saying, the devils and demons and all that other stuff, but it is what it is. Kind of like the children of a corn. They was trying to mess with the people who were good people at heart, but they was trying to use them as their little harvest or whatever it was that they was trying to do. But the point of the matter is, you got kids out here who are truly and again, this is just because their heart space is not in the right place. Okay. So when somebody shows you who they are, believe them at that moment. Until they do the inner healing work, believe exactly who they are. Okay. And not try to pacify it. But the truth of the matter is like, these people, they basically, it's almost like they sound an alarm to let you know, like, let's just say maybe you on your way coming there. Okay. Giving them the heads up that you're on your way. And it's almost like when you get there, it's like everybody trying to straighten up and fly right, in a sense. Okay. So I just want you to know that. Just kind of observe the scene when you go out and about, when you're dealing with people, when you happen to go places, when you happen to go to the grocery store. Pay attention to that little stuff. Anyway, so this last message came through was, okay, yes. And this was important as well, too. So this image is about past life, okay? God is revealing some honest to God truth to some of you guys about your past life. So please, please, please pay attention to your dream, because that is some important information that is in your dream, something that's going to help you move forward, and something that will help you to understand and let go of. Until you face your past, you cannot have a successful future. Okay. So you have to address the past in order to have a good future. Okay. And I say all that to say, because you don't have to, but you can keep the same mindset and go into your future and just keep being in the same repetitive patterns, habits, and cycles. But if you don't want to be in those same repetitive habits and cycles, it's important to address what it is that God is bringing up to you at this time. And that is information from your past, because information from your past can help alter your future, okay, for the better. Okay. So there's going to be some important information that is being given to you. For some of you, is situations and circumstances pertaining to your childhood. And I hate to say it, but it could be some situations that maybe that some of you guys were violated in some sort of way, whether it was whether you are male or female. You could have been violated in some sort of way by somebody that you knew or by somebody that you didn't know. But all that information is coming up right now, and it helped to give you some keys of why you do some of the things that you do, or where that energy is coming from. So let's just say that maybe you don't trust people, in a sense. That energy could be coming up because that's a situation of where somebody had violated you. And for some people, they may not even remember this happening at all, because sometimes psychologically people can create blockages because they don't want to remember certain stuff. Like they really tell their mind, I'm blocking this shit out. Like it never happened. It never existed. But let's just say if one was to get like a past life regression reading, and let's just say if they wanted to address what it is that I'm hiding, it could be a situation of, now they having that information of what had actually happened, what they choose to block out. And now if it comes forward and comes out in that past life regression reading, now you have some answers to key of why you do the things that you do currently that is affecting you currently, in a sense. So it's a matter of basically understanding it, acknowledging it, basically feeling the pain from that, healing it, and then moving forward. Okay. So anyway, just know that this work throughout life is going to always be constantly doing and constantly putting in the work, hard energy and work and effort. But, you know, the good thing about it is that we have rewards for doing exactly what it is that God wants us to do, which is to heal, you know, things within our own individual lives going forward, you know, so that we can change our DNA system so that we can have a better future, okay? And if some of you guys want to check out the video that I did of over on TikTok, or I will be posting it, should I say, basically the symbolism, true symbolism of the cross, as well as psychic abilities, feel free to check that out. But anyway, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and end this message here. But I do have one last thing to say too. Thank you, Spirit. So this is important. So God is bringing up important information for a lot of people, okay? And I say all that to say that so many of us have been out here trying to help save other people, but the true meaning of it is, like I said, if you want to watch that video on the true symbolism of, you know, the cross or whatever, you know, it's a matter of you taking up your own cross and carrying your own burdens and not try to push your burdens off onto other people, okay? But I say all that to say because sometimes we as people, we can be so humanitarian, so helpful to other people that we forget to take care of ourselves in the process. Because the truth of the matter is, we've been doing it backwards, okay? We've been doing it backwards. And at one point in time, myself was doing it backwards, you know, to the point that we have been always taking care of other people first and saving ourselves for last, in a sense. But it's like, you know, there have been people out there who have been selfish and who have been taking care of themselves. And now God is requiring them to kind of help and take care of other people, not take care, but, you know, not to be codependent on it, but, you know, to try to show more of your nurturing side to other people and then you have those people who have been very humanitarian that has always kind of had like open arms and for the greater good of all. It's almost like now they're being divinely guided to, let's just say, allow others to kind of come and help them out as well too. Okay. So, I mean, it's really kind of amazing how God is just kind of doing things, but flipping the script around. But nothing is don't look at that as good or a bad thing, because the truth of the matter is, I just heard like the scales are just being balanced. So if you overgave in the past, you know, to people who did not deserve your time, attention, or your energy, now it's to the point that God is going to have you to invest that energy to those people who truly care about you, rather than invest it into those people who really did not have your best interests at heart. Okay. So anyway, with that being said, but I do want to say this. There was a scripture, I think Matthew 27:24 said, he could save the people, but he couldn't save himself. We're just talking about Jesus in a sense, like Jesus, because they were saying because he went to the cross or whatever. And when I say to carry your own burden, to carry your own cross, this does not mean that somebody's putting you on a cross. It just means you carry your own burden. That's all. We all have our own burdens that we need to carry. But anyway, so some of us have been out here basically trying to help everybody else and not really helping yourself first, or not helping yourself first, but, you know, not investing into yourself first, not practicing your self-care, not taking care of yourself and all those other things, you know, because the truth of the matter is you can't help anybody unless you help yourself first, in a sense, okay? It's just like they tell you when you're on an airplane, put your face mask on first and then help the people to the next of you, because if you're trying to help everybody else gonna have their mask on, you're gonna be the only one without your mask on, and you know, and whatever may happen to you while everybody else is sitting there with their mask on. You put your mask on first, and then you can start to help other people in the process, okay? So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and end it there, but I wish you all much love, much light until the next message. Bye.